Good morning, and we are going today work on estimate products, and this is chapter 2 lesson 8. It is page 125 in your book, and today is 9/17. So the word estimate tells us that we will be rounding, and the word, oops, that should have an R in it. The word product tells us that we're going to be multiplying. So estimate products means we're going to be rounding and then multiplying. So the first example here on page 125 tells us that a pet store has 12 gecko lizards for sale. Each gecko lizard costs $92. About how much money would the store make if it sells all 12 geckos? And they're saying that there is one way to estimate, which is to round one factor. I'll be honest, I don't love this way, but I'm going to show it to you. So if we had $92 times 12 geckos, we could just round that 92, leave the 92 and round 12 to 10. 10 gives us, we can multiply by 10. That's what we've been working on, right? Factors or products of powers of 10. And so we could easily do this one and say that it's going to be about $920. And when we write this out, we would write that 92 times $12 is about $920. Now notice my wavy equal sign. The wavy equal sign tells us it's an estimate. That means about. So I would read this as 92 times $12 is about $920. Another way is, I'm going to call this the second way, which is the way that I actually prefer, would be to round both factors. Now, rounding both factors, our estimate will be a little farther away than the actual answer. Rounding one factor actually gets us the closest to the actual answer, but it doesn't always work out as nicely. It only works out when you're really rounding it to a 10. This way can just be a little bit more confusing, I find, especially if you get into 3- and 4-digit numbers. So if we have that same problem, 92 times 12, first I have to round 90. And let me just give you a little refresher on the rounding rules. If the digit in the place that you're rounding to, in the place to the right, so if the place, and when I say place, I mean that specifically as in place value, as in the place for place value. If the place to the right of the place you are rounding to, of the place you are rounding to, is ... right? If it is 4 and below, oops, my arrow did not turn out right there, guys, I'm sorry. That's a down arrow. Ay. Okay, if 4 and below, you round down. And if it is a 5 or above, you round up. And remember, when we say, when we're rounding down, actually that digit stays the same, right? But we're rounding down. So 92, we're rounding to the tens place here. The 2 is telling that 9 to round down or stay the same. So 92 goes to the next closest 10, which is 90. Same thing here with 12, we're rounding to the tens place. And the 2 is telling that 1 to round down or stay the same. And so if I round down to the closest tens place, to the closest 10, it is a 10. So then I would do 9 times 1 is 9, and I have 2 zeros. It works the same as it does when we do multiply powers of 10. If I write it out long way, I would say that 92 times 12 is about 900. And those were dollars, so we should mark them as dollars. And you guys, the goal of estimating is to turn the problem into mental math. You guys can do 90 times 10 without doing a lot of work. You're not doing the double-digit division, right? You're doing powers of 10 in both of these problems. The whole goal to estimating is that you change the numbers, you round them. You're using math rules to do that, to make it into mental math for you, to make it easier for you. A lot of you will try to multiply this out and then round the answer. That is not the point of estimation. That doesn't make it easier for you. You have to estimate first, and then multiply so that you are making mental math. You're making it easier for yourself. The other way they show you is compatible numbers, and the word compatible means numbers that get along. And honestly, both of these to me work in compatible numbers, and I really just don't like compatible numbers. So we're not going to practice that one. But let's do another problem to practice here. So what if I gave you 467 times 16? So I'm asking you to estimate, and if the directions say to estimate, it means you are rounding first. We talked about in the last couple lessons about knowing the directions. If the directions tell you to estimate, then you have to round the numbers first. So I'm going to round this 460. I'm always going to round. If they don't tell me, I'm going to round to the greatest place value. For this number, the greatest place value is a 4. Well, this 6 tells the 4 to round up. So 4 becomes 5, and everything from where I circled becomes zeros. Times, I'm going to round this one to the tens place because that's the greatest place value in this number. 6 tells that 1 to round up again because 6 is greater than 5. And so the next closest 10 to 16 is 20. And now, oops, nope, wavies, I'm doing estimates. I'm sorry, that's a wavy equal sign. A wavy equal sign. So I do 5 times 2 is 10. This 0 does not count in the zeros when I count right now. This 0 is part of the 5 and 2. It's an extra 0 because 5 times 2 ends in a 0. So now I have to do 1, 2, 3 additional zeros. 1, 2, 3. And my answer is about 10,000. All right, thank you for listening today.